Let's be honest, the whole Jeffrey Epstein story is a complete mess. It's a tornado of rumors, wild speculation, and endless conspiracy theories. It's gotten to the point where it's almost impossible to figure out what's actually real. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to cut right through all that noise. Using only official documents and verified reporting, let's break down what the so-called Epstein Files really are, and more importantly, what they really tell us.
Okay, so to really get a sense of what we're dealing with, just look at this number. 3.5 million. That's how many pages of documents the US Department of Justice released. Let that sink in for a second. It is a literal mountain of information, and that is exactly why we need to break it down piece by piece.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what these files actually are. Then we'll run through the timeline of the case. After that, we'll dig into the evidence, bust some of the biggest online rumors, look at the very real fallout from all this, and finally, we'll talk about the huge question of accountability. All right, first things first. What exactly are we talking about when we say the Epstein Files? You hear that term thrown around everywhere, but it actually refers to something very, very specific.
So why did all this information come out now? Well, it all goes back to a law called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Congress passed it, and it basically forced the Department of Justice to open up its books and make all its unclassified investigative materials public. So, this wasn't some shady leak. This was a government-mandated release.
And when they opened the floodgates, what came out was, well, a bit of everything. We're talking about raw FBI agent notes, full transcripts of witness interviews, those infamous flight logs from his private jets, thousands of photos and videos, even top-secret grand jury transcripts. It's the whole shebang, a really comprehensive but also super unfiltered look at the entire investigation.
Now, to get why these files are such a big deal, we need to put them in context. This isn't a news story. It's a case that has been dragging on for more than 20 years.
So, let's do a quick flyover. The whole thing really kicks off in 2005 with the first police report down in Palm Beach. That eventually led to that notorious 2008 plea deal that pretty much everyone agrees was way too lenient. Then things go quiet for about a decade until, bam, in 2019 he's arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. But just a month later, he dies in jail. And because there was no trial, people demanded answers, which led directly to Congress passing that Transparency Act and this massive document dump.
All right, so this is the part you're probably waiting for. This is the core of it all. With millions of pages out there, what have credible, fact-based analyses actually found? What does the evidence really show us? And here it is, the single most crucial finding. And honestly, it's probably not what you've seen trending online. The files provide overwhelming proof that Jeffrey Epstein himself was a monster who abused underage girls. But, and this is a huge but, the very same documents show very little hard evidence of that wider conspiracy theory, that he was running a massive trafficking ring to serve other powerful men.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from a prosecutor's memo found deep inside these files. After seizing tons of photos and videos, they concluded that none of it showed victims being abused, and none of it contained evidence that implicated anyone other than Epstein and his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. That's from the investigators themselves. So you might be wondering, why? Why couldn't they prove a wider conspiracy? Well, the files show just how hard it was for investigators. For one, the FBI simply couldn't verify some of the allegations. And while they confirmed that the key accuser, Virginia Giuffre, was absolutely a victim of Epstein's abuse, they also noted that parts of her story were, in their words, problematic. She even admitted to writing a memoir that was partly fictional. And critically, 2 other victims directly contradicted her claim that they were lent out to powerful men. It's messy. And that messiness leads us right to the huge gap between what the evidence actually says and what you're seeing in your social media feed. So let's just tackle the biggest rumor head-on. I'm talking, of course, about the client list. It's the rumor that just won't die, that these files contain a secret list of powerful co-conspirators. But the fact is, no such list exists in these documents. Not one. Yes, a lot of famous and powerful people are named, but the reasons are all over the map. From having dinner with him, to business deals, to literally just being a name in his old-school address book. And this point is absolutely crucial. Just because someone's name appears in these files does not mean they did anything wrong. Think about it. This is a raw data dump from an investigation. It includes every lead, every interview, every dead end. It is not a final verdict on every person mentioned inside. Now, just because there wasn't a smoking gun list doesn't mean this document release didn't cause an earthquake. Oh, it absolutely did.
The files sent massive shockwaves through politics and business, and the consequences were very, very real.
I mean, the fallout was immediate and it was tangible. You had Bill and Hillary Clinton getting subpoenaed to testify before Congress about their connections. The well-known physician Peter Attia had to resign from a major corporate role after his emails with Epstein were published. Even the former Attorney General of Florida, Pam Bondi, faced a congressional motion to hold her in contempt. And that's really just scratching the surface of the political and reputational damage.
So let's zoom out. Where does all of this leave us? After millions of pages and all these years of waiting for answers, what does this huge experiment in transparency really mean for justice?
I think this quote just nails it. It really gets to the heart of why this whole thing matters so much. The fight to get these files released was never just about one sordid scandal. It was about proving a much bigger point, that transparency isn't just a nice idea, it's a weapon. It's a safeguard against a system where the rich and powerful can use their influence to buy silence.
And that ultimately leaves us with this one final, incredibly important question. The files are open, the data is out there for all of us to see. But we have to remember that just having information isn't the same thing as having justice. It forces all of us to ask, in a case this complicated, where the main villain is already gone, what does true accountability even look like?